The road to war. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand had very much been the work of Princip and his band of Black Hand conspirators, but the Austrian-Hungarian Empire saw an opportunity to assert its authority over Serbia. First, it sought reassurance from its powerful ally, Germany. Together, they had formed the Dual Alliance in 1879, which, 3 years later, became the Triple Alliance when Italy added its signature. Now, the German Kaiser, Wilhelm II, gave Austria-Hungary the assurance it needed, then promptly went off on a cruise around Norway. It took the Austrian-Hungarian government 3 weeks, but the ultimatum they sent Serbia was, in the words of Britain's Foreign Secretary Sir Edward Grey, the most formidable document ever sent from one nation to another. Serbia was given 48 hours to comply with 10 demands, specifically designed to humiliate and therefore be rejected. Although the Serbs agreed to 8, it was never going to be enough for the bellicose Austrian-Hungarians, and on the 28th of July, they declared war on Serbia. Events now moved quickly, one triggering off another. In response to this declaration of war, Russia, which saw itself as protector of Serbia, began to mobilize. France, Russia's ally since 1892, offered her its support. In response, the Germans gave Russia 12 hours to halt its mobilization. The deadline passed. Thus, on the 1st of August, Germany declared war on Russia, and 2 days later, on France. "The sword has been forced into our hand," claimed the Kaiser. The Schlieffen Plan. Germany now faced a war on both its western and eastern borders, a war on 2 fronts. But it was a prospect they had long anticipated. In 1905, the then German Chief of Staff, Count Alfred von Schlieffen, had devised a plan for such an eventuality. Russia, he surmised, not incorrectly, would take up to 6 weeks to mobilize its armies, allowing Germany time to defeat France. In order to avoid the line of fortifications on the Franco-German border, the German army would have to advance through neutral Belgium in a huge sweeping movement. "Let the last man on the right brush the channel with his sleeve." Having knocked out Belgium, it would swing south, covering 20 kilometers a day and encircle Paris. Having dealt with the French, it would then have time to move east to confront the vast armies of Russia. Schlieffen died in 1913. 1 year later, his grand plan was put into action. Speed was of the essence. On the 2nd of August, Germany stormed through Luxembourg and demanded immediate access through Belgium. But poor little Belgium, as the British press called her, refused, and turned to an 1839 treaty guaranteeing its neutrality. One of the signatories was Germany. The other was Great Britain. Britain asked Germany for an assurance that they would respect Belgium's neutrality. Germany ignored it, and on the 4th of August began bombing the city of Liège. Germany could not believe that Britain would go to war with a kindred nation over a scrap of paper, a treaty signed 75 years before. Britain declared war on Germany on the 4th of August. Sir Edward Grey, gazing out from the Foreign Office, remarked, "The lamps are going out all over Europe. We shall not see them lit again in our lifetime." Grey, in his gloominess, was in a minority. The rest of Europe rejoiced at the prospect of war. Everywhere, civilians gathered in town squares to celebrate. Young men anticipated adventures of daring do and chivalry. "It'll all be over by Christmas," the British army was told. "You'll be home before the leaves fall," declared the Kaiser to his troops. For the Russian Tsar, Nicholas II, a victorious war would stifle the murmurings of revolution that was infecting his kingdom. For France, still chafing over its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War in 1871, war offered a chance to re-establish its reputation. Unlike her European counterparts, Britain had no standing army. Only a small professional force, the British Expeditionary Force, BEF, numbering a mere 100,000 men, compared, for example, to Germany's 1.1 million. It was this tiny army that arrived in northern